Are we live? Yes. Hello, once again back. It is the 23rd of August, 2022. And we're back again with the subject matter, which is FBI, Pan-Africanism, or Pan-Africans, UHURU movement, disinformation, and lies, right? And yesterday, for those of you that didn't see the live yesterday, you should review it because I go over a lot of some points about the disinformation UHURU movement is spreading, and not just them; they're not the only ones, but and how it doesn't make any sense. And we're going to continue on that line, but we're going to take it a little further today. And so we're going to start off here with Fox. And I don't usually watch Fox Media per se, but, you know, information is information. And I'm for freedom of information myself, or freedom of speech, that is, with some limitations. Like, I'm not for hate speech, and I'm also not for information that puts people at harm, right? But in any case, we're going to start here with this sister who is labeled as a co-conspirator, and then I'm going to explain a few things to you. So let's start off here.
Good evening and welcome here on this Friday. I'm Mark Wilson.
And I'm Allie Corey. Thanks for being with us. First at 10, Russian collusion in our own backyard. A federal indictment says Russia wanted to cause political turmoil in the U.S. and found a willing partner in a group based in St. Pete. The indictment describes a conspiracy of propaganda, misinformation campaigns, and direct meddling in local elections that began years ago. The indictment doesn't identify the local group by name, but all evidence points to St. Pete's UHURU house. And today, the UHURU all but confirmed it. Fox 13's Haley Hines is here tonight with more for us. Haley.
Allie, the indictment says that for more than 7 years, Russia targeted the United States to carry out this influence campaign. It says they recruited 3 political groups, one believed to be UHURU in St. Pete. They helped fund the group's political campaigns and flew its leader to Russia to form a partnership aimed at sowing discord and mistrust here in the U.S. Despite the indictment, UHURU leaders are by no means hiding their ties with Russia.
My name is Alexander Ivanov from Moscow.
In March 2022, UHURU leaders held on.
So you can see here that actually in a meeting with with this Russian agent, and it's video recorded. Now, you know, to me, that sounds, that is a telltale sign, because it shows me that they're a bit ignorant, maybe ignorant of what they're involving themselves in somewhat, but, or it just shows you that they have no callous. Maybe they've done things like this before, they've had no problems, so they just figured they just go right ahead of it. It could be that, but in any case, be careful who you involve yourself with.
Online discussions with the president of the Moscow-based anti-globalization movement of Russia. With help from a translator, the FBI says he spread Russian propaganda.
Western propaganda is lying when they say that Russia has invaded Ukraine.
This week, that man was indicted by a federal grand jury in Tampa with conspiring to use a number of U.S. citizens as agents of Russia.
The facts and circumstances surrounding this indictment are some of the most egregious and blatant violations we've seen.
Now, I just want to stop it for a second. Now, you hear that they mention Ukraine. Let me take that back for a second here, just so you hear what this guy is saying. He's telling them that what's being said by the U.S. regarding Russia and Ukraine is not true. So let me let you hear it again, just so I don't say, so I don't misquote what he's saying, because it's very important.
Russia.
My name is Alexander Ivanov from Moscow.
In March 2022, UHURU leaders held online discussions with the president of the Moscow-based anti-globalization movement of Russia. With help from a translator, the FBI says he spread Russian propaganda.
Western propaganda is lying when they say that Russia has invaded Ukraine.
This week.
Now, that's an interesting perspective to have, that they're saying that Western propaganda is lying regarding the invasion, them invading Ukraine. But here's the thing. Russia lies about a lot of stuff. And since we're talking about an organization that claims to be Pan-African, an organization that claims to be fighting for black people's rights in America, here's the thing about it. Russia also says that it's Russian propaganda that they're added, or that there's some sort of confusion about them being added to one of the nations that participated in the transatlantic slave trade. So it's very interesting. I just wanted to point on that because I talked about it yesterday, and that's leading up into something else. Watch.
That man was indicted by a federal grand jury in Tampa with conspiring to use a number of U.S. citizens as agents of Russia.
The facts and circumstances surrounding this indictment are some of the most egregious and blatant violations we've seen by the Russian government in order to destabilize and undermine trust in American democracy.
The FBI alleges from December 2014 through March of this year, Alexander Ionov was actively working to sow discord, spread Russian propaganda, and interfere with elections in the U.S. and around the world. The indictment alleges he and the Russian Federal Security Service relied on social media and also directed and controlled 3 political groups, one being the UHURU movement in St. Pete.
Russia has
Who do you think the other groups are?
Recruited and forged ties with persons and groups around the world who are positioned to amplify and reinforce Russia's messaging campaigns.
They're using Russia as a part of a propaganda tool against the people to turn you away.
UHURU's Aretha Akile Kenyon is alleged to be the candidate Russians were supervising in her 2019 run for St. Pete City Council, offering consulting and funding. At this point, Kenyon is considered an unindicted co-conspirator, but has not been charged.
Why take their money?
Did I ever say I took any money? See, no. I never, no. That's what I'm accused of. I never said that, so don't put that in my mouth. I didn't say that.
Did you take money from
Look, I don't want to answer your question because you want to take it somewhere. I don't want to take it there.
There was...
Right, so she is saying, she's not saying she didn't take their money, but she's also saying that she's not saying, she's confusing. She's saying that she's not going to tell you if she took their money. That's what she's saying. Which, obviously, that doesn't make any sense because you either did or you didn't. But saying that you didn't take the money, that doesn't look too promising.
There was also apparent Russian influence in the 2017 St. Pete race for mayor. The UHURU group seen here disrupting political events. According to the indictment, the word reparations was part of alleged discussions between Ionov and another unindicted co-conspirator who appears to be former mayoral candidate Jesse Neville.
Now, they use the term reparations, but it's important to remember, it's important to ask questions. Is UHURU movement actually actively working on the nuts and bolts of the reparations dialogue between the United States and the organizations that are doing the research? And here's the other thing. There's a lot of projection there. Almost everything that she's saying, you could possibly think that, no, it's actually the other way around. But let's go.
I think all of us that believe in the democracy that is America ought to be concerned because if it's coming down to even the local level, then our entire democracy is at risk.
The UHURU house was one of 3 locations in St. Pete raided Friday by federal agents as they collect evidence for the current and possibly future indictments.
Today's action should serve as a deterrent to other foreign adversaries that the FBI will not tolerate meddling and our democratic process.
The other political groups allegedly recruited by Ayanov are in Georgia and California. The feds say what makes this alleged activity illegal is that no one involved was legally registered as a foreign agent. If convicted, Ayanov faces up to 5 years in prison. There have been no other arrests, but the FBI...
All right, that's enough of that. But here's the thing. They said California, right? Now, this is where people shouldn't necessarily think about what's being said, but what's also not being said. They talk about what the charges are, and that they mention that one of the charges, the main charges, is not being registered to accept that money from a foreign government. And it's true, you have to be registered to do that. But they're not saying a lot of other questions that if you're an African American who's concerned about reparations, that you might ask. And here's the thing. Okay, so if you're for reparations, that's what the UHURU movement says, although I don't believe them. I believe they're being used to be anti-reparations. Here's the thing. The same person that gave them money, that sat down and met with them, that gave them logistics and support, is the same person that sat down and gave these right-wing people in California support and logistics. The same person, the same year, the same collusion. So, and let's go on to read. A leading California succession advocate got funding and direction from Russian intelligence agents, U.S. government alleges. And you know, we use that word alleges, but I mean, you could pretty much guess they're correct. But let's see here. At a 2018 rally in Sacramento, hundreds of Californians called for a national divorce, citing irreparable and irreconcilable differences. Ultimately, the best people to govern California are us Californians. Louis Marinelli, the founder of the secessionist groups Yes California, told the newspaper script. All right, now let's see who he is, because this reflects who UHURU movement sits down with and takes support with, who they collude with, who they even have a meeting with. I mean, most people, it's not like you give meetings to everyone. You give meetings to organizations that you support what they're doing. You support their activities. And this is one of the activities of this agent that they sat down with. Marinelli, a right-wing activist who previously campaigned against LGBTQ rights, framed California nationhood in terms of competing values. Now, see, this is the thing. Now, why did he even want to succeed? What do you think that's about? I mean, it's about they didn't like the way things were going in California, according to what they call liberals and things like that. But then again, who do they call liberals? What's the liberal methodology? Who do they support? LGBTQ, right? So there's contradictions there, and this is where you have to be careful. They've been creating these contradictions for almost 10 years now, 7 to 10 years. And you could see it. It's been creating infighting among Pan-Africans. It's been creating infighting among Black Americans. It's been creating infighting among all types of people, you see, in the U.S. and outside the U.S. because they're running the same campaigns outside of the U.S. Well, if you listen to what UHURU movement says their values are, if you read them, you could see that the same person they're accepting logistical funding from and help. And that's not what that's not all the FBI says. You know, they even say that this person is directing some of these actions. So we don't know how deep this goes. It's not all out, but you can just see on the surface, why would you sit down with someone who is against LGBTQ rights? Why would you do that? UHURU movement got plenty of LGBT in them. So they're supporting, it's like they say one thing and then they kick themselves in the butt and contradict themselves and take everything else away again. That's not so wise. That's not that's actually poor business. If you're a human rights organization, that's not how you do human rights, you know? So let's see here. Let's go over to this one. Be careful who you let use your emotions. And people of African descent, Black Americans, and not only us, but a lot of people who fight for their rights every day, they tend to have a lot of emotion, and so people like to use it. And a lot of people use it and get your money, get your empathy, but this is a case where it's being used against your own interest, your own human rights and civil rights interests. All right, let's go over to this one. Somebody sent me this earlier. Just let's read this. This is one of the supporters. Somebody sent this to me today. FBI invaded these black folks' house, even used a drone and flashbang grenades. The U.S. government has started their attacks on our community. Well, anyone that's paying attention, I mean, I'm in my 50s, so I've been paying attention for a long time. But you can't really fool me that easily. But just look at and break this down. The U.S. government has started their attack on our community. No, there's hundreds of different thousands of different black organizations fighting for people's rights. They don't all work with this organization. They're not all aligned with this organization. They don't all agree with this organization. And thank God that they don't. They actually came to these people's houses for what they were doing. They didn't go to the members' houses, not the lower members, which I'm assuming there's hundreds, right? They went to the top. And yet they're making it seem like the FBI is attacking all of us. No, all of us don't like the work that this type of organization is doing. Because here's the thing. Again, almost what they say is almost exactly the effect that they don't have. They say that they're for reparations, but are they actively working with organizations that are doing the research, presenting it to the government? Are they working on any of this? Or are they just going around saying that they are? Here's the other thing. I pointed out, well, hold on, let me stick on this point. There are legitimate organizations right now working on reparations for African Americans. But when you see this type of activity going on with people just saying reparations, and then they're willing to do this undermines that. So the effect is undermining the community, actually. Again, projection. They're using a lot of projection on our community, and I'm knowing that this is not just them. This is a tactic that's being used across our community under the guise of an attack. These are well-scripted projectiles being sent at us, and we need to be cautious. Well, first, be aware of it. Be very cautious of it, because there's no time for jokes. There's no time for playing about these things. I mean, most people go to work every day or go to school every day, do their best, face tough conditions every day, and to have people that use our emotions, we trust them, and then they abuse it. This is not the first time this has happened with the Russians. You see, it's not the first time. That's why I said this thing, the U.S. government has started their attacks on our community. If you look at that and reverse it, it's not actually the U.S. government. The U.S. government is made up of people, and these people have to follow laws, and these people sometimes don't follow the laws exactly correct, but there's punishments for that. But these people are millions of people, and they come with different kind of ideas about life. So therefore, you have the law to keep it in check. to make sure they're doing their job. The government's job is to protect the citizens and enforce the law so that crime doesn't get out of hand, so that things that don't get taken care of can actually get some attention. And of course, this is the space that they claim to be working in, right? But now when you see it, you find out that, okay, they're actually not just working in that space that they claim. They're taking it way further. Now, let me see here. This is not the only organization who's done this, right? Or who does it. Whether they know that they're doing it or not, for me, as I stated yesterday, that's not necessarily the point, the intent. What I'm talking about is the effect, because there's plenty of people that are not conscious about what they do, especially victims that have been mentally tormented. You don't know the state of mind that these people are in. I don't know the state of mind, but I can tell you from what they're saying, it factually doesn't make sense. But let's go ahead and watch this.
With us and what they have done happened. Let me just say, they actually sent a drone into this house. They said we were not charged with anything. That's what they said. They handcuffed me and my wife out here. They wanted me to sit on the curb while they were carrying this out. Something that I refused to do. They wanted my wife to sit on the curb out here that she refused to do.
This just happened, black folk.
All you do is fight for black people, black power. All you gotta do is walk through North St. Louis and you can.
What did he say? Black people, black power? Right? Okay.
See the changes that we brought.
It sounds to me like he's saying something to get into our emotions, to make us provide loyalty based on our history and forget about accountability.
Here as a party for black people, and the government is opposed to that, and that's why we're under attack, and also because they see us as pawns that they can use in this propaganda.
You hear that? They see us as pawns that they can use in this propaganda. Actually, they're being used as the pawns by the Russian government. Again, they're getting funding and support from the same people that fund and support this. You see? You see? You see? Marinelli, a right-wing activist who previously campaigned against LGBTQ rights, framed California nationhood in terms of competing values. Okay? The leading California succession advocate got funding and direction from the Russian intelligence agencies, government, and allies. So, again, the worst of this is not actually what the government so far has started charging them with, which is not being registered to receive this foreign money. That's one of the big allegations, although I'm sure there'll be more. The big thing, we got to take it further and think about what does that do to our reputation? How is this designed to destroy our movement for reparations? And this is where we have to be slick at it, because there's plenty of people actually really working on reparations and would really not like these kind of people doing these kind of things, messing it up, because it makes it, obviously, it's making it seem like we're against our own government when we're not. We're working with our government. We're supposed to be working with our government. We have been working with our government. And like a lot of people, it doesn't always go well, but we do have a government where we're participating in it, and we do see results from time to time. As I explained yesterday, Kennedy is the one responsible for the Voting Rights Act in the 1960s. So we could stop people like Martin Luther King could stop getting harassed when voting, beaten on the streets and all types of things. Well, guess who killed Kennedy? You know? Guess who killed Kennedy? Who killed Kennedy? Let me see here. Let's just go here. Did I pull this article up already? Let me see. I mean, it's very easy to see here. What's it, Lee? Harvey Oswald. Russians. Boom. Now here we go. I didn't have this ready yesterday. Lee Harvey Oswald ordered to kill JFK by Soviets, ex-CIA chief claims. Here we go. Let's see here. I mean, if anyone ever researched this, you know he was in Russia. I mean, and the Russian government admits it. Lee Harvey Oswald was a KGB associate who was personally instructed by Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev to assassinate President Kennedy. Sometime shortly thereafter, Soviets changed their minds and Oswald was told to drop the plan. So they say. But Oswald, harboring the blinding love for all things USSR, approves. That sounds like something Putin would say. But Oswald, it sounds like something Putin would say. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Let me read that again. Lee Harvey Oswald was a KGB associate who was personally instructed by Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev, to assassinate President Kennedy. Sometime shortly thereafter, the Soviets changed their mind, and Oswald was told to drop the plan. And Oswald was told to drop. That sounds like something Putin would say. But do you believe it? That's the thing about it. Do you believe that they told him? But it doesn't even matter because they already had the plan put together. He just executed the plan. And who was Kennedy? Kennedy is the president that was pushing through the Voting Rights Act to protect someone like Martin Luther King. Now, to protect black people, our rights. Did the Russian government give a damn about that? Well, if they made a plot to kill him, obviously no. But yet we got UHURU movement. I don't even want to blame this young girl. We got UHURU movement. This guy who, oh my God, oh my God. This man, who's an old man who's been around forever, what's he been doing? I mean, he's been around forever. I'm sure he's living quite well. I mean, what job does he have? What's going on? Or is he just paid to talk? You know, this guy, as far as I'm concerned, is responsible for what happened to this young woman. I mean, he's the one responsible for getting her into this room. And when you listen to her, you hear her, she's reciting Russian Cold War propaganda. And it's not even all Cold War propaganda. She's reciting Russian propaganda that if you look it up and do the research yourself, you will see how backwards what they're saying is. She's in another video. No, she's on TV. I should have got this clip where she's talking about native people's lands. Well, did you know Russia was in America taking native people's lands, killing and genociding also? I mean, does she even know the Russian presence in America historically? Does she know Russia was mediating between the different colonial powers about how to share power in these colonial lands? Does she know that? You see? So, if you ask me, I would say this young woman seems very paranoid. And when you have older people like this, who you trust, and they just keep saying this stuff over and over and over, it creates paranoia. It creates paranoia. So I'm not making an excuse, though. A crime is a crime. And the best thing, if you ask me, this young lady can do is recognize that she is involved in a crime. And not just a crime that they charge you with, but also a shameful act against her own community. And she needs to correct it. And here's the great thing about the place where she lives. Because she got an education. She's got her life ahead of her still. She can actually change. You see, she can actually improve 1,000% if she recognizes her problem, where she made her mistakes. This man won't. You see? You see? Now, what I suspect is going to happen to these folks is they're all going to plead guilty. And there's a reason why I believe they're going to plead guilty. And the main reason why, although they're going to go out in the public and try to gain some sympathy and empathy from people, like he just did here talking about how they arrested him. Don't you know the FBI arrests people like that? The only person they didn't arrest like that was Trump. He wasn't there. If you weren't there, they wouldn't have done it either. But here's the thing. You were there. They got you. They're arresting people all the time. I mean, what do you think you were doing? But here's the thing. You survived it. You got a chance to talk in front of the media. You got plenty of support system behind you. So think about all the young people, all the people that go to jail that have very few support systems. But here's the thing. Have very few support systems and actually know a little more history than this man. But they don't even bother to collaborate with foreign agents against their own government. But here's the thing, allegedly. But here's the thing, I believe they're going to all plead guilty. I believe the U.S. government sees them also in some sort of light, like these people are victims. Somebody here is a victim, not all of them, but someone here is just a victim of their own stupidity and been brainwashed maybe. But here's the thing. That's what I think is going on with this unindicted co-conspirator. But she should think about those terms. But I think this man is going to plead guilty. And you know why that is? It's so, I think this is how it works. And correct me if I'm wrong. It's so the court, if he goes to court and tries to fight this, all the information about him is going to come out. You see? So while he's talking like he's up to fight this thing, I think you might suspect a guilty plea coming sometime. Because I doubt he want to fight this. I doubt he wants to fight this. As you can already see, I mean, just the fact, is it here? No, I'm sorry. Where is this at? Did I have is it this one? Right, here we go. It's this guy. Let me see here. Just the fact that this occurred, whatever conversations are going on here, and I'm sure it's not the only one, and the fact that they accepted money, hey, buddy, you should start understanding what guilty means. You see? Because it really actually looks like it fits the description of that crime they're charging you, they're alleging you made. So, my advice is this. Listen, myself, I've worked in human rights, and I even have a book I wrote about the time that I spent working in human rights here in Denmark, even though I'm from the U.S., with the black community here. But you got to understand, young people, don't be fooled. There are a lot of people that just use this idea of civil and human rights to get some money. It's not saying that's what they're doing, but I'm also not saying that's not what they're not doing, because who knows, right? People talk. But I damn sure know that they don't know what they're talking about. I damn sure know the things that they're saying are literally not factual. You see, it's not always what you say, it's what you don't say. And then when the other person comes and said, okay, what about this? They probably got no comment to it. You see, because it goes against what they said. It proves that what they said is wrong. So you can go out there and talk about all the things that the U.S. government has done and then go say, that's why you're accepting help from Russia. But to someone who knows all the things that Russians have done, even to your people, even in America, even from the beginning of the colonial period in time, even with their participation of the transatlantic slave trade, right? they're partaking in the transatlantic slave trade, right? Where's this at here? According to CARICOM. Right, Russia included. You see, why don't these people know that? This is the thing. So, young people, be careful of who you listen to, because even if you don't intend on getting involved in some corrupt, chaotic cult, which I'm not saying they are, but I'm not saying they're not. It could twist your life up mentally. You could end up committing even worse crimes, right? I mean, there's people that get caught up in all this kind of strange stuff. My advice to young people is deal with organizations that have checks and balances. And this, in my mind, is definitely not one of them. And every time they open their mouth, you can hear it. Yeah, so I'm out of here, folks. I just wanted to get that out. This was number 2. I'm going to link this with the other video. If you have any comments, please leave it. Any questions, please leave it. But opinions, yeah, you know, whatever. But here's the thing. What I'm after is prove me wrong. Your opinions are great, but what I respect most is if you state whether you agree or if you don't. And if you don't, prove why it's wrong. And that way we can adjust. That way a person can grow. You see? All right. Have a good day.